We're finally back! Alright, let's continue. Let's resume. I just want to see if there's anything more we can find here. Any files? No. Alright. Booyah.
The time it is precisely 11:40 when the rowboat with Patrick Redfern at the oars and Emily Brewster in the bow rounds the headland into Cutter's Cove.
Hello. Who's that?
It looks like Mrs. Marshall.
So it does.
We don't want to land here, do we?
Oh, plenty of time.
That's odd. Why is Mrs. Marshall lying in the shade?
Hello, Elena?
Mademoiselle Brewster senses something. The body, the way it lies. There is something unnatural in the angle of the outspread arms.
Elena?
Monsieur Redfern too, he hesitates, and then...
No. Elena! No!
Is she?
She's dead! Oh, God. She's been strangled! Elena!
I was in my room, as yet unaware of the tragedy.
Alright.
Quite secure. The door.
Must always try all the doors all the time. Yeah.
Quite secure. No.
See that we don't miss anything.
The door. Quite secure.
Securely locked.
Latched. No. Latched. The door.
Alright. Nothing from the inside.
These are the binoculars. These are the binoculars.
There might not be anything interesting here, I guess.
These are the. These are the.
These are We'll go around this way, I guess. Boom, 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 boom. Where is Mrs. Castle, anyway? Just try everything from the outside.
Latched.
Nothing. Okay, let's go down here then. I guess we should go look at the murder.
Oh, sir. Sir, it's terrible.
Alright. I believe you. No. I'm gonna check everywhere else first. Okay, fine. I think it's this way.
What are you thinking?
So how do we get down there? How do we... What do we do?
Mr. Poirot, there you are.
Mademoiselle, what has occurred?
It's Mrs. Marshall. Mr. Redfern and I found her in Cutter's Cove. She's been strangled.
Mademoiselle, may I ask you a question?
Certainly.
Can you row me to Cutter's Cove?
Mr. Poirot, after your efforts to find Millie's killer, I'll row you any time you like. You need only ask me. Climb in.
Well, we're finally at Cutter's Cove.
Oh, Poirot, at last. Listen, you know how strapped I am right now with the evacuation, the Home Guard, and now Fifth Columnists. If you could lead the investigation, I would be in your debt.
I will help in any way I can, my friend.
Thank you. You just missed Dr. Neaston, the coroner. My men have done a cursory search of the cove. We'll be back shortly to collect the remains and with equipment to do a better job.
Who called you?
George Strum, bathing beach attendant, showed up on my doorstep. Miss Brewster sent him. As luck would have it, Neaston was with me, so we came right over.
What could Dr. Neaston tell you about the time of death?
He put the time of the murder at somewhere between 11:15 and 12:20, just before Redfern and Miss Brewster showed up.
The cause of death was strangulation?
Oh yes, no doubt about that. The handprints are very clear on the neck. Neaston may be able to tell us more after the autopsy, but it's pretty clear a very strong pair of hands did that to her. That's all I have for now. Poirot, I hate to drop this thing in your lap like this.
Do not concern yourself, my friend.
Look around all you like. Make sure everyone knows you speak with my authority. Do a background check on everyone on the island. I should have a report for you at the police station later this afternoon.
Thank you, Colonel. Elena's coffee flask.
You aren't going to look at her face, are you?
The investigator of murder cannot be squeamish, Hastings.
Still, if you assure me of the facts, there isn't any real need, is there?
As you wish. I state categorically that Mrs. Marshall was strangled to death by a very powerful pair of hands.
Hello, something was dumped here. What does it smell like, Poirot?
Coffee. This is certainly significant. This is certain.
Oh, look, it looks like it's like torn here. Okay,
Mrs. Marshall was strangled.
I think we're done here.
What? Oh, Poirot.
May I put to you some questions, Monsieur Redfern? How did you and Mademoiselle Brewster come to be rowing together?
I asked Miss Brewster if I could join her.
Why did you do that? Monsieur Redfern, there is no longer the luxury of playing the little games. Now is the time for truth.
Elena and I were accustomed to swimming together each morning. When I didn't see her on the beach, I went looking for her. She wasn't up at the hotel. I saw Miss Brewster getting the rowboat ready. That's when I got the idea that if we rowed around the island, I might find her, Elena. I offered to row first. We set off.
What time did you arrive here?
Sometime before 12. I don't know exactly.
Tell me what you thought when you saw Mrs. Marshall.
Well, I was put out, if you must know. I couldn't understand why she hadn't met me. I couldn't understand it at all. I rowed to the beach. I wanted to find out what she was doing.
What happened after their boat beached?
I called out to her, but she didn't answer. She just lay there. I went over to her. There was something strange. She was so still. I knelt beside her, touched her hand, then her arm. She didn't react at all. Then I lifted her hat. My God, her face, Poirot. It was dark, mottled. Those marks, handprints on her neck.
Steady.
I'm sorry. She was so beautiful. How could anyone spoil that?
Who went for help?
Miss Brewster. I had this idea. I wanted to protect Elena. It's stupid, I know. She was beyond anyone's protection. I sat near her, then couldn't take that anymore, and came over here and waited until the police arrived.
Is there anything you saw or thought that might help us?
I'm sorry. Let me think.
Take your time.
There was one thing. I heard a noise while I was still over near Elena.
What was it?
A clatter on the rocks near the ladder. Something falling. Not a rock, though. Something light.
I may have more questions for you later.
It's a broken pipe. Could have been what fell down.
Poirot will not be... An older ladder that has collapsed? I wonder if anyone was climbing it at the time.
Yeah. Now, here we have something.
A torn piece of green fabric. The same colour as Elena Marshall's hat.
Indeed.
That mud looks like it was placed there deliberately. And there's something shiny underneath. I say, a six-sided metal receptacle hidden by the mud. The mud must have been applied fairly recently, and the metal looks shiny, almost new. And that shape, it reminds me of something. It's like the receptacle for a winch handle you find on the mast of some sailboats to winch the sail up and down.
I don't think we have a winch handle. Oh, I mean, maybe this? No. Okay. I mean, that to me would suggest that it's connected to the other tunnels under the island with darts and stuff. Guess we'll have to see.
I would like to put to you the questions, if I may.
Of course.
How did you and Monsieur Redfern come to be rowing together?
After you saw me at Rocky Bar, I changed and was about to set out on my morning row when Mr. Redfern asked if he could join me.
What time did you arrive here?
We arrived on the beach at 11:45. We must have come in sight of the cove 5 minutes before that.
Tell me what you thought when you saw Mrs. Marshall.
Nothing at first. I assumed she was sunning herself.
And then?
Well, the first thing I noticed was she was lying as if she was sunbathing, but she was in the shade of the cliffs. Then, when Mr. Redfern called out and she didn't answer, that felt odd too. Once we were out of the boat, I could tell there was something unnatural in the way she was lying. Her arms.
What time was this?
He wanted to row right round the island, so I checked my watch. It was not quite 11:30.
Did Monsieur Redfern often accompany you?
No, this was the first time. If you ask me, he was looking for Mrs. Marshall. He volunteered to take the oars first.
What happened after the boat beached?
Mr. Redfern and I approached Mrs. Marshall. I could see he thought the situation wasn't right as well. He knelt beside her, touched her hand, then her arm, then he started to lift her hat. He saw her face and cried out.
Who went for help?
I did. We both knew someone had to. I'm not the kind of woman who would ever admit to feeling fear, but I was secretly thankful when Mr. Redfern offered to stay with the body.
I understand perfectly, mademoiselle. You must have reproached yourself. Is there anything you saw or thought that might help us?
No, I don't believe so. Yes, there is something. She was strangled, just like Millie and the other woman, Alice Corrigan. 3 women strangled in South Devon within a few months of one another. Can that be just coincidence?
Anything is possible, mademoiselle. But I will agree the coincidence in this case seems highly unlikely. I may have more questions for you later.
Of course.
I may have more questions.
Of course.
Okay, I thought she could take us away from here, but then in that case, I guess we're not done? I don't know. Colonel Weston?
Give me a few minutes, would you, Perot?
Okay. No.
I'm really not in the mood to talk right now.
Okay, we're Good. Ah, we missed one thing. No, stop. We missed one thing here. Apparently we want to do this.
I'll just snip a piece of the fabric from the hat.
There. Now we should apparently be down here so we can go back. Or she can row us back.
Can you row me back to the bathing beach?
Of course. Would you like to leave now?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, hello.
May I have a word with you?
Colonel Weston told us to cooperate with you, Mr. Poirot, and of course we will, in any way we can. But this has been a very bad shock to me, and Mr. Gardner is always very, very careful of my health. Isn't that so, Oakley?
Yes, darling. Mrs. Gardner is very sensitive.
I appreciate you speaking with me. You spent the morning here, overlooking the beach?
Yes, we did. And not the slightest idea in our minds of what was happening just around the corner in that little cove.
And you were here the entire time?
Yes, both of us. From nearly 10:25, until Oakley went to play tennis at 12. Isn't that right, Oakley?
Well, not exactly. I did run off to fetch your purple wool, if you'll remember. That was around 11 by the hotel clock. It took quite a few minutes to find it, I'm afraid. 15 minutes, possibly 20.
No more than 10 minutes, surely. I barely missed you.
Methinks she protests too much, Poirot. What is she frightened of?
It is a question we must learn the answer to, my friend. Did you see Madame Marshall at all today?
We? But that is to say, no. I said to Oakley, why, wherever can she have got to this morning? First her husband comes looking for her, and then that good-looking young man, Mr. Redfern. I always wondered, why must he go running after that woman when he has that nice, pretty wife, all of his own, didn't I, Oakley?
Yes, darling.
She can babble all she likes, but I heard that hesitation, Poirot.
Did you notice anything that might have a bearing upon the case?
Why, no, I don't think so. Just that she was always around with young Redfern. Anyone can tell you that.
Did her husband mind, do you think?
Captain Marshall is a very reserved man.
That is all the questions I have for the moment.
We're devastated. We know nothing that could help. Aren't we, Oakley?
Yes, darling.
I think she's trying to cover because she thinks that Oakley might actually have done it. Because Arlena was the star who ruined his theater. That's my theory. I don't remember if it's correct, actually, but it seems logical. Oh, look at that, Miss Castle. Apparently, Miss Castle was in her office when we came down before looking at the murder scene, according to the walkthrough, so.
Madame Castle.
Mr. Poirot, Colonel Weston has informed me that I am to give you my full cooperation. He suggested that I allow you access to whatever you need in the hotel, no matter how private.
I hope that does not distress you unduly, madame.
Well, my duty to the owners, but I have little choice. Here is the master key. This will unlock any door in the hotel.
Merci, madame. Can you account for your movements between 11:15 and 12 this morning?
Well, from 10 o'clock till 11:15, I was seeing to it the staff were all performing their duties. Then the dining room was cleared and made ready for luncheon. That was until noon. It was a very ordinary morning, and until...
Quite so. Did you notice any of the guests behaving unusually?
Let me think. Mr. Redfern seemed agitated, underfoot, asking if anyone had seen Mrs. Marshall.
What time was this?
Between 10 and 10:30, I would say.
Tell me about the sandwiches and flasks of coffee prepared for the guests this morning.
Mr. Lane asked for sandwiches and coffee. He was planning on hiking, I believe. Mrs. Marshall asked for coffee only. Those were the only requests this morning.
How early are they put out on the table in the dining room?
Directly after breakfast. No later than 9:30. I wonder if you would excuse me. This has quite unsettled me, I'm afraid.
Of course, madam.
She's rattled by more than the murder.
You are correct, Hastings. The idea that I would have access to anything here in the hotel obviously includes the contents of her safe.
Think she'll do a bunk?
If she makes the... what was it you said?
Think she'll try to sneak away?
Oh, yes indeed. It is good that Colonel Weston is prepared to have her followed.
Yes, I don't think we have to do much about that. Then we can go into everyone's rooms, I guess.
This may be important. I'll keep it in my notebook.
Emily Parsons' letter. Dear Emily, it is a harsh world we find ourselves in, isn't it? I think only when I dance can I put its cares from me. You have given me that escape and so much more. I can't tell you how much your friendship means to me. Love, Millie. I think there is anything more here. Gardner's room. Oh. Oh, okay. I do recall this one now. I think it took me quite some time to do this. Okay. Oh yeah, no, this in the middle can be anything, of course. And I don't know if these are correct. No. Personal emergencies starring in an American film. I think it says there. With one something sadly here. What is... Oh, wait a minute. This one goes in. These two go together, but maybe not right there. There, I think. No. I mean, these could be higher up, I guess. No. No. See, this one takes so much time because it's like, I don't know. I am devastated to disappoint you, but really I must do this personal. Okay. Cannot tell you how much I looked forward to playing in your production of Anton. No. This is way too complicated. This is way too hard. 2, 1 lecture to another at. This doesn't. Okay, I think I might almost got like this, maybe? Here's his personal emergency. Me to travel immediately to the United States and to remain there during the month we plan to be in rehearsal, so okay. And I think it's gonna be like this. So I cannot tell you how much I looked forward to playing your production of We Will Face an Opportunity, Little Theater. We will not something, an opportunity. Little Theater would amount a magnificent production equal to a play of great, unfortunately. Ah! Oh. Now, of course, it starts with, I cannot tell you how much I blah blah. Concerned. And then here, we'll do it like this. I mean, honestly, this is so hard. Here we go.
This document bears further study. I will keep it in my notebook.
Oh, finally. Takes so much time. Letter of regret. Mr. Gardner, I cannot tell you how much I look forward to playing something, Drina, maybe, in your production of Anton Chekhov's marvelous Three Sisters. I'm sure your little theater would have mounted a magnificent production equal to a play of that stature. Unfortunately, a personal urgency has arisen that forces me to travel immediately to the United States and to remain there during the month we plan to be in rehearsal. So I must withdraw from your production. I am devastated to disappoint you, but really I must something to this personal matter. I'm sure you will forgive me. I hope we will have an opportunity to work with one another at some future time. Devotedly, Arlena Marshall. Personal Emergency, starring in an American film. There we go.
Believe me when I tell you, Hastings, there was nothing of interest in those drawers.
Okay.
Interesting. I'll put it in my notebook.
That puzzle took way too much time, so... Handbill. Anton Chekhov's Three Sisters, starring Arlena Stewart. A lavish production. There we go. Alright. Now we're done with this episode. But come on, that puzzle though. What? Anyways, thank y'all for watching, being patient, and I'll see you.